Hi, I'm Assistant Professor Aditi Mathur, International Schools of Business Management, Suresh Gyanvihar University, Jaipur. And today we'll be discussing on the scarcity, efficiency, and economic problem. So, what all topics we'll be covering? Just let's have a recap on it. Today we'll be covering what do you mean by scarcity, what is trade-off and choices, efficiency of resources, and the three major or the big problems of economic organizations. So, basically, what happens is that whenever a manager is there, they need to make choices. Choices amongst various alternatives available in front of them from the scarce resources they have. So what happens is that we know that we have a piece of land, but we don't know which option to we choose because we have n number of uses associated with that piece of land, right? So there are many a time problems in front of you. Let's take a very casual and easy problem which you face is that when you have a money with you and you have decided that you will have food from the canteen in that particular day, so you have an options that what to have, either to have a burger or for going for some combo meal, or just having a sharing basis food item with your friends so that you can enjoy and have some quality time with friends. So these are the alternatives available in front of you, and to choose the best alternative, to choose the best investment of that money is actually the basic question which always a manager faces and every individual like you and me faces, right? So the managers are actually forced to take these types of decisions. The individuals like you and me are also forced to take the decisions like this because we know that we have limited resources. What are resources? You have resources categorized into the category of land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. So when these all the resources which are scarce in nature are there, and when you have to decide which option to choose so that you can earn maximum profit, so that you can employ your in all the resources at the optimal, effective, and efficient manner, that type of managers need to take very wise decisions. So before that, we should know that what do we mean by the term scarcity. So scarcity is actually the fundamental economical problem of having seemingly unlimited human wants and needs in a world of limited resources. So, what I'm saying over here is that we have limited resources, but as a human, we have unlimited wants and need associated with us. We want burger also, we want pizza also, we want iPhone also, we want the best laptops of the Dell also, right? We want to go for the movies also, we need to have the Netflix also, we need to have the Amazon Prime membership also. So we need n number of things, but we have limited resources, right? And why is that so? Because our resources are scarce in nature, and scarcity is actually a fundamental economic problem. So scarcity is actually a state that society has insufficient productive resources to fulfill all human needs and wants, right? So this insufficiency is one of the big thing we will talking about in our upcoming this video lecture. The alternatively scarcity implies that not only all society goals can be pursued at the same time, trade-offs are made of one good against the another. So there is always a trade-off available amongst us, that what to choose, whether to have an apple or an orange, right? Whether to go to A school or to go to B school, whether to choose the science or the humanities, right? So these trade-off, what to choose, what not to choose, they keep on coming as and when you go ahead in your life, and always you will have the choices. And at that time when you take the decision, you need to be very sure with the scared resources which are there. And because of these scared resources, you will like to have an option selected for you which gives you the maximum benefits possible, right? So what is actually trade-off and choices? Making a choice made normally involves trade-off. It means that choosing more of one thing can only be achieved by giving up something else in exchange, right? So you have always heard that kuch paane ke liye kuch khona padta hai. Same thing. To have something more, you need to lose something, right? Let's take a quick example and understand. Every purchase is a trade-off, of course. How? If you decide to spend $20,000 on a new car, you are saying that worth more than 20 bicycles or 4 vacations to Europe or the down payment of a house. See? So the $20,000 are actually equivalent to these opportunities. So to have a new car, you are losing what? You are losing 20 bicycles, 4 vacations to Europe, and a down payment to a house. This is a trade-off. Every choice involves opportunity cost. When you choose a thing, you are giving up another, right? So if I'm choosing to buy a new car, I am giving all these things. What all? I'm giving up the bikes, I'm giving up the vacations, I'm giving up a down payment of a house just to have a car which is worth of $20,000, right? Plus, whatever giving up isn't always financially or obviously. So always, everything is not financial. There are something related to your emotions also. There's something related to your feelings. So if you are might be buying a new car, you are actually losing up not only the 4 vacations, but maybe the quality family times which you would have enjoyed 4 times in that vacation, right? So always it's not associated with the finance, but non-financial things are also associated with the opportunities which you are losing, so that you can choose one of the alternative which you think is the best one for you. Let's take an example and understand. Example, housing. Choose about whether to rent or to buy a house. Both decision involves risk, right? Generally the young adults face these problems, that when they just enter into a relationship or they are married and they are planning to have a separate home, then they come up with this question that whether we should buy it or whether we should go on rent, right? Because both these alternatives are associated with some kind of risk or not. If you are a rent as a tenant, if you are going to enter into a house, that means then there is always a risk that the owner of that house can come and tell you and give you the time tenure that please empty my apartment, right? And then you have to search for the new one. Or if you are buying a new house, so maybe you are taking a loan for that payment, so definitely the interest and the down payments and the installments burden is on you. If you missed any of them, then your fixed asset which is leverage for that amount is into that shaky position that it might not be for you. The bank might sell that asset to get back the money. So the risk is associated with both the options when you go for taking a decision on housing. People have to weigh up the cost and benefits whenever they take the decisions. So you have to go on that taraju, in which one you will add up all the cost, and one type you will add up all the benefits, and you will see कि कौन सा भारी है. Is it the cost which is heavier, or is it the benefits which is heavier? And then you take your decision according to this study of cost and benefit. Now, let's take another example. When you are working, do you work full time or part time? Right? So this is one of the question which you face when you are especially in the graduation or post graduation, and that too when you are in the final year, right? So during the final year you have n numbers of job opportunities, right? At that time you have to decide that whether I should miss my semester, take NOC from my institution and work in an organization, or right now I should focus on my education, understand all the concepts with very determination, and then in future, maybe after completion and having a degree in my hand, I'll go and join any organization. So that thing is also one of the choices which the students faces. The another one which I have written, that is the full time or the part time job opportunity. I should be associated as a full time or as a part time employee in an organization, right? What are the perks of having a part-time job, or what are the perks of having a full-time job? What are the costs associated with these two, right? So they have to be taken into the consideration, right? Then the another example which I would like to discuss is the transport and travel. Many of the young adults like you, when you study and you are living in PGs in the different states, right? So at that time, generally you come up with this doubt that whether we should have a scooty, or we will just work by sharing the vehicle, maybe sharing or pulling a cab and going together, or you can just walk and reach to the destination. So this is also a matrix, because at this time you have to decide between the cost and the time, right? So that is also be taken into the consideration, right? So if you want to reach early, you have to give some money. So do you have that money? Do you have that cost bearing capacity with you, that you can lose some money and you can have the time in your hand to reach the destination, whichever commitments you have made, you can meet them up. So that is why your choice and your trade-off metrics is associated with each and every decision in your life. It is not just for the businessmen, it is not just for the managers, it is not just for the entrepreneurs, it is for the everyone. It is for you, me, the young adults, the teenagers, the school going students. Everyone have to decide on the day-to-day basis what to choose and what not to choose, right? And this choice is because of the limitation, that is the scarcity of the resources and the unlimited human wants and needs associated with that limited resources. So the key philosophies in economics is two main key philosophies. The first one is the scarcity or of goods and services, and then effective use of the resources. Because you have scarce resources, because you have less of inputs, you have to make sure that you effectively use those resources, right? If you have only one pen, then you have to make sure that you save that pen for your exams. And it generally happens with these students, that they come up with the one pen to write a paper, and the risk is that while writing the paper, the pen might get stuck. So you should always have spare pen with you when you are giving an NSEM examination or midterms, right? So the effective uses of resources is as equivalent as to study the scarcity of goods and services available in the market or in the organization, right? So now let us just study about the scarcity of goods. Concept lies at the problem of resource allocation and problem of business enterprise. So this is actually, the scarcity is actually associated with the allocation of the resources, right? Because of the problem of limited resources. When you have limited resources in nature, the problem is associated with allocation. That how to allocate that limited resources so that each and every one is satisfied, right? So the key problem is your limitation, which is accompanied with the problem of proper allocation. The essence of an economic problem, that is micro and macro, is the scarcity of the resources, right? The managers who decide on behalf of the corporate units or the nation economy always face economic problem of scarcity of good quality of materials or skilled technicians, right? So this is always a problem which a manager has to face, and he have to take a decision on. So let's take an example as acting like an managers. Let's all assume that we are a marketing manager. So now what we have to decide, we will be coming up with a a problem, and that problem is to encounter the scarcity of sales force at his command or at our command, right? So we will always be in this problem as a marketing manager. We will always face this problem that we have less salesperson, right? They will always be in this dilemma, and they will always be saying that the targets are high. The people at the board management need, they always want the 10,000, 20,000 should high, 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 and we don't have that much of people to go and sell. We don't have the people to cover the geographical area properly. We don't have the trained labor force with us to who have a good quality of sales to how to sell a commodity, right? So the manager, the marketing manager generally face this problem. He always encounter the scarcity of human resource, that is the sales force under him. Finance manager, he may be facing the scarcity of funds necessary for the expansion or renovate a program. So finance manager is always with a one statement: I don't have money. The organization don't have money, let's do the cost cutting, right? Because we are not in that position. So they have to actually arrange the necessary amount of money so that they can expand their business. They might go to pan India, they might go to international countries, so that they can sell their product. For that your capital is needed. For that you need to have funds, and to raise the funds you should have equal amount of assets also, so that you can have the money with you. And for that reason, finance manager will always be in a problem or in a state of dilemma to decide that from where to get money and against what security I should raise the fund, right? Or I should come up with I should accept the proposal with a new machinery, or I should accept the proposal to renovate that machine, to coming up with the advanced version, in the sense of just accompanying with a new part and then making it more effective. So these types of decisions always come up into the minds of the finance or the marketing managers. Now let's talk about the finance minister, right? At the country level, his basic problem when he is preparing for the budgets every year is to find out enough revenue resources to finance the necessary expenditures on the plans and program. Thus, what see that scarcity is a universal phenomenon, right? So you can see it is not just you who is facing problem. It is not just the marketing manager, it is not just the finance manager, it is even the finance minister of our nation who is facing this problem. So this problem is a universal. And what is this problem? This problem is scarcity. Come, right? So the scarcity is a universal problem at both micro and at the macro level. So now let us just take a case of peninsula and understand the scarcity. And what happened was that There was a time in 2010 and now also, but now the things have better, and they are doing better. There was a time in Peninsula when because of the government policies and the corruptions and smuggling, the people were not having the basic required resources. The malls were all empty, right? Their warehouses were empty. People were suffering with the hunger. There were lots of diseases, and there was civil unrest also. So this is at the level of the macro, at the level of a country, that because of that not so good government policies, or because of the problems like corruption and smuggling, the people were facing the replication in terms of the hunger, the stockouts, the diseases which were there because of the malnutrition and the civil unrest, right? So you can see the two pictures which are there in front of you, that everything was empty. There was nothing available in the market, right? So it is actually one of the cases which was studied at the macro level and understood that because of the lack of resources and because of the non-proper allocation of resources, this state of peninsula was there in front of us. Now, let us just discuss our own problem. So, if we see, India is actually facing one of the very big problem, and that is insufficient supply chain, not food storage, right? So, India is actually facing this problem that we don't have a good quality of supply chain management, and we don't know how to store the goods which we have produced, right? So many a times, because of the rain, because of the cats or some other animals, the goods which are actually good of quality are not stored properly and they get damaged, right? And because of which the farmers face the replications, and even we also face, because the prices goes up when we don't have the good in the vegetable markets. So let us just understand this problem. One third of the fruits and vegetable produced in India rots because we don't have proper cold storage facility. So you can see and imagine the wastage which is there just because of non-availability of cold storage facilities in many of the places of our nation. Lack of suitable storage facilities lead food prices to rise. Because there is no proper availability of the storage, the prices of our goods, of our fruits and vegetables goes up, right? If India does not have proper cold storage for its produce, then it must sell these them to the countries to improve its export. So one of the options which we have, that if we cannot save, if we cannot protect because of the lack of cold storage facility, we should export it to the other countries and at least increase our exports so that we can have a good forensic exchange rate with us, right? But this is also not happening. It is also not possible. So we are actually facing double trouble, right? In which most of the children do not get sufficient food to eat. Why? Because it is actually getting roiled, it is getting damaged, and we cannot consume, because we know that the food items, the fruits and vegetables are perishable. They have their shelf life, and if it is not consumed in that shelf life, the items are not healthy to be consumed, and we are already facing the problem of malnutrition, right? So according to the human hunger index in 2011, 21% of the population in India is malnutrition. So we are actually facing this problem from the 2011 itself and before that itself. Low food consumption not only leads to the problem of malnutrition but also affects the economy of the country, as malnutritioned person cannot work with efficiency. So you see, Are you able to connect the points? Just because we don't have the proper place to save the food, it is not getting it to the humans, the labor people who are working in our country. They are getting malnutrited. Because of that, they don't have that efficiency and energy to work, and they are getting ill. And because of which, again, we are not able to produce that amount of goods which we should have produced, so that we can overcome the hunger, so that we can overcome the other problems associated with it. But just because of this one point, that is that we don't have the sufficient food chains or the storage, we are facing these all problems. They all are connected. It also leads to an increase in the individual health care almost. Apart from this, India also faces the problem of food scarcity, which means challenges in the ongoing availability of food. So we are at present facing this problem that we don't have the good resources of food, and at this time we also have the problems like these. Right? So this is a macroeconomic case study in which we have tried to understand the problem of scarcity. The scarcity of what? The scarcity of a good quality supply chain management and the good quality storage warehouses and the exports. Right? If we would have been able to export, we would have got some currency in our country, and maybe we would have imported when we need the food items. Right? So that is also lacking in our nation. So this was just one of the examples of a case study which I wanted to discuss, so that we can, understand how the points get connected. So efficiency of resources. Economy make best use of its unlimited or limited resources. Every economy try to make the use of the limited resources they have, right? If you have labor, you will try to make sure that you use that labor at the best effective manner, right? You will come up with the shift system, so that the company goes on working for 24 hours, and even the worker get the time to rest, and then again new people can work, then they can rest, the new shift joins on. So this is how you manages your limited resources, right? This brings the critical notion of efficiency. Efficiency denotes most effective use of society's resources in satisfying people's want and need. Right? So efficiency actually plays a very, very important role. And we should know how to effectively and efficiently use the limited resources. Why? Because we have unlimited wants and desires, but we have limited resources to fulfill them. So let's take another example. For example, most of us wants to lead an exciting life, right? And life full of excitement, adventures, etc. But unluckily, we do not always have resources necessary to do everything. We don't want to, we might want to go for undersea diving, but you don't have money to afford that vacation where you can explore or enjoy that dream of yours. Therefore, choices have to be made, or in the words of economists, individuals have to decide how to allocate the scarce resources in most effective way. Right? How to use that money, how to manage it to come up with the fulfillment of your dream. For this, body of economic principles and concepts have been developed to explain how people and also business react in these situations, right? So if all of a sudden you come to know that you are out of the raw materials, and there is a big amount of the contract which is standing in front of you, and you have to accomplish it, and you need the resources right now. So in what sense the company react, that is also studied in these types of situations. Economy provides optimum utilization of scarce resources to achieve the desired result. So from where you are going to come up with the solution, from where you are going to come up with the raw materials, at what rate you will be coming up, and how many time you will be, wasting because of that, and how you'll be buffing it up. Maybe you will be going out for the extra overtime workouts, right, to so that you can meet out that time when the raw materials is getting arranged. So that is also one of the things to be taken into the care, right? So economics can be studied under the two heads, micro and macro. So we have studied it, studying it at the micro level and studying it at a macro level. So we were studying at a micro level at how to save the goods which were produced by the farmer, because they are getting waste. We don't have the proper warehouses, and see how we connected it at to the macro level with the overall production of our nation, with the malnutrition, the efficiency of our labor in the economy, and everything. So both micro and macroeconomics faces this problem. So now let us just discuss the three basic economic problems which every organization faces, is that what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. Right? So they are actually a part of which theory? They are part of your welfare theory. In our previous video, we have discussed it. So now let us just understand in detail what to produce. The first question every society faces is what to produce. Kya banaye? Should a society build more of roads or school? Because of the scarcity, society can build either, roads or school, because everything they want cannot be done. So choice has to be made. Once a society determines what to produce, it then needs to decide how much it should be produced. In a market economy, the what question is answered in large part by the demand of customers, right? So first you have to decide that whether I should build the roads or the school. And now let's take an example. I have decided that no, I need school. So how many schools do I need to produce, or I need to establish, right? So that is also the another question. What to produce, followed by how much to produce. Then comes how to produce. The next question a society needs to decide after what to produce is how to produce the desired goods and services. Each society must combine available technology with the scarce resources to produce the desired goods and services. Right? We know that there are two types of industries: labor-oriented and technological-oriented, or the machine-oriented. Right? So you have to come up with a good combo, that you use the latest technology also, and you use the labor force which are there in your society, which are skilled, and they can be given the employment opportunity, and your work can be done. So how to produce come up with the questions of how to use your resources. The education and the skill level of the citizens of the society will determine what methods can be used to produce goods and services. For example, does a nation possess the technology and skills to pick grapes with a mechanized harvester, or does it have to pick the grapes by hand? So let's just take an example that you are in a farm. You are an owner of farm where the grapes are grown, right? So now you have a decision whether you will have a mechanized harvester which will pick up all the good quality grapes, or you will employ few of the laborers who will check the grapes and then select the best quality one, and which are get the grapes which are getting ripe can be plucked and thrown or used as the manures, or for the other purpose, recycled out, right? So that thing has to be decided by the owner, that what they want, because both the options have their own cost. If you go with the labor oriented working system, then there will be a cost of giving them wages, the breaks, and with the lots and lots of laws has to be met out by the working of the labor. There are labor laws associated, so you have to take care of those also. And if you are focusing or trying to come up with the mechanized harvester, Then the cost of the technology, the cost of importing, the cost of maintaining the lubricants, the mechanics thing, that if it gets, um, stuck up, or if it is not working properly, then it will be sent to the workstations to get repair. So at that time, who will be working, right? So these types of costs are to be taken into consideration when you decide how to produce. So we have covered over here right now what to produce and then how to produce. And the last question is for whom to produce, right? So every society need to ask it for whom to produce. Who is the receiver and the consumer of the goods and services which you are producing? Some workers have high income than others. This means more of the goods and services in the society will be consumed by those wealthy individuals, right? Because you have money, you can pay whatever amount the suppliers are demanding for, right? But the poor one might not be able to, pay for those amount of money to buy those goods and services. The different groups will benefit from the different way that we choose to spend our money. So that is again a big problem to, encounter and solve, that the resources which you are using to produce the goods and services are for whom? Are they for the below poverty line people, or for the middle class, or for the wealthy people, right? Who can afford anything, right? And what should be the pricing? How to calculate the price of your product is the another very important aspect to be taken into the consideration. So let us just have a quick recap on what we have covered today in this video lecture. So today we have studied about the scarcity, right? Then we looked upon the trade-off and choices, few of the examples to understand the concept. We then understood that the two philosophies which exist in economics is your scarcity of good and efficient use of the resources. We understood with the help of the example the three situations. Then we discussed a case of a peninsula and the case of India. Then the efficiency of resources were also discussed. With the help of an example, we understood the nitty-gritty of the concept. And then we individually understood the three problems, that is what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. So for the reference, I will refer these two books. You can definitely even go to the web pages and have a look on those. I'll refer those web pages which are of having a good quality of resources of knowledge, because there are many fake websites. So don't just blindly believe on every website. Just check the credentials of each website before you know relying on them. So now let's just have a quick revision with the helps of MCQ. These 10 MCQs are based on today's video and the previous video, so it will be a quick recap for the yesterday's lecture as well. So let's start with our 10 MCQ questions. The first two are on your screen. Select the best option as per your understanding and learning. The third and fourth MCQ on your screen. The fifth and sixth MCQ question. The seventh and eighth MCQ question. The last two MCQ question for today. So I do hope that you were able to solve all the 10 MCQs. So now let's just check the answers to evaluate ourselves that how much we have scored out of 10. So these are the answer. The correct option for question number 1 was C. For question number 2, it's D. For question number 3, it was A. For question number 4, it was C. For question 5, it was D. For question 6, it was B. For question 7, it was D. Question 8, the correct option was B. Question 9, the correct option was B. And for the question number 10, the correct option was A. I do hope you all have scored 10 on 10 and you have understood the meaning of scarcity, efficiency, and the three economic problem, that is what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. So that's all for today's video lecture. Thank you and happy learning.